In the heart of our upcoming thriller crime movie, The Killer, the narrative unfolds with an enigmatic assassin situated in a dimly lit room. His piercing gaze is fixed on the world beyond the window, momentarily interrupted by the insistent sound of a timer. On the precipice of slumber, he rallies to consciousness, revealing a figure clad in gloves. This mysterious assassin, shrouded in anonymity and known only as The Killer, becomes the central focus of our suspenseful tale. Settling into his chair, he dons earphones, observing the ebb and flow of daily life outside. A regimen of yoga, push-ups, and mindful sitting follows. Leaving the room, he descends the stairs, donned in shades and a hat. Using his phone to scan a bike, he swiftly acquires essentials from a nearby cafe, engaging in a phone call about a rendezvous. The killer discloses a 5-day wait, allowing only 2 more. Returning, a narrator notes his aversion to Airbnb's hidden nanny cams. Nightfall sees him setting up a sniper rifle peering through the window. Abruptly, someone emerges behind him, opening the room's door. The killer grips his sniper, narrowly avoiding a mail delivery. As dawn breaks, he remains glued to the window, highlighting the challenge of boredom in his profession. His work, typically monotonous, spurs creativity through staged accidents and subtle poisons. Disinfecting the sink, he later reclines in his makeshift bed, indulging in a power nap while setting alarms for intermittent target checks. During one glance, he spies curtains parting at the target's location. A car arrives, a housemaid readies chambers for a VIP, and the killer, alerted, readies his sniper once more. Loading the bullets, he spots a man inside the house as anticipation heightens for the impending mission. Elevating his bed to window level, the killer observes more arrivals in the building. Plugging in his earphones, he notices a woman being escorted to a room. Following suit, he pulls on his hoodie and delivers a resolute quote. Seated, he remains attuned to the unfolding scene until his watch signals a heightened heart rate. Peering through his scope, the target emerges, prompting the killer to reflect on morals, steadying his pulse. However, upon firing, he misses, alerting the guard to shut the blinds. Packing up swiftly, he dons a motorcycle helmet and dashes to his scooter. Evading approaching cops, he discards his gun in a garbage truck, accelerating away from the scene. Soon, he notices police flooding the streets, executing a Jason Bourne maneuver on the stairs to evade them. Navigating alleys on his bike, narrowly escaping the authorities, he halts at the foot of the stairs, abandons his helmet, and ascends. Opting for a disguise, he transforms himself in the grungiest public toilets, conveniently located at the gas station. Heading to a nearby cab, he heads to the airport. However, a hurdle emerges as he spots a Belgian Malinois in line, prompting a detour. After cleaning up and securing a plane ticket, he informs a contact in a phone booth. On the plane, he eyes a foreboding figure. Upon arrival, he locks eyes with the same man. Learning of a delayed flight with accommodations, he decides to bide his time. Agreeing to the exchange, he smoothly reaches his hotel room, securing it with a glass cup on the door handle before settling on the couch. The next day, he departs quietly, en route to his next flight, immersing himself in music as he soars through the sky. Transitioning to a car, he traverses diverse landscapes until he reaches a gated area, detecting boot marks that prompt him to arm himself and leap the gate. Following the trail, he sprints to a mansion, discovering blood inside. Making a call, he rushes to a hospital amidst power outages. There, Marcus informs him of his critically injured sister Magdala, who described her assailants. Empowered by this knowledge, the assassin prepares for the imminent chase. The assailants, a woman and a man, targeted the killer's wife, resulting in a struggle where she managed to injure the man and take refuge in a bathroom. Marcus, piecing the events together, believes they mistook the wife for the killer. Sitting by Magdala's bedside, the killer learns she remained silent about him even under intense pressure. Departing the hospital, he embarks on an investigation, unveiling a concealed underground safe. The next day, he packs his bags, embarking on a town-wide drive. As night falls, he secures an emergency driver, delving into their database. Mailing a package to Dolores, he surveils a location, identifying the sought-after driver. Tailing him, he eventually requests a ride, initiating the next phase of his pursuit. In the ride, the killer taps his pistol on the glass, prompting the driver to surrender his wallet. Uninterested in money, the killer seeks information. The driver identifies the two he transported as freaks and provides a detailed description. Forced to narrate how he took them to a concealed mansion and waited, the driver's tale falls on indifferent ears as the killer eliminates him. Utilizing another fake passport, he departs the country, making his way to New Orleans. At a storage facility, he swaps vehicles, acquiring guns, files, and a new license plate for his work van, power tools, and even a banana join his arsenal. Spotting a woman he addresses as Dolores, the killer initiates his plan, masquerading as a garbage man to access a building. Upon reaching his designated floor, he mentally tallies the seconds before executing his next move. Closing in, he reaches the door, taking a sip from a bubbler. Seizing the right moment, he wedges the glass door open. Upon the woman's terrified gaze, the killer seizes her, placing Hodges at gunpoint. Recognizing the killer and his profession, Hodges instructs Dolores to comply with his demands. Locking her in the bathroom, Hodges discloses that consequences arose when the killer failed a shot against a powerful figure. As a leader in the organization, Hodges, desperate for survival, urges the killer to disappear. Providing a backstory, Hodges claims to have built everything from scratch. The killer, seeking answers, questions the whereabouts of his backups. Hodges insists there's none, underestimating the killer, who swiftly silences him with a shot from a nail gun. An act even the Equalizer would applaud. Regardless, the killer informs Hodges he has 6 minutes to save himself, but Hodges succumbs on the spot, throwing off the killer's timing. Intent on Dolores, he discovers she possesses the names he seeks. She agrees to divulge them only if he promises not to leave things awry. Battling his internal voice urging ruthlessness, he cuts her free. Witnessing Hodges, she faints. After tossing Hodges into a garbage can, the scene transitions to that night. Dolores, under the compulsion of the killer, strives to flee as he departs, her desperate screams falling on deaf ears. Later, she reluctantly assists him in scouring files for the subcontractors who invaded his home. Uncovering the name Claiborne, the killer, driven by psychosis, regrettably dispatches Dolores, lamenting the perpetual need for cleanup. Undeterred by his recent acts, the killer, a true psychopath, seeks refuge in a motel to catch some sleep after tending to his van and grabbing a meal. Left with little else, he sets his sights on Florida. Arriving at the provided address, he observes men at the location. As night falls, the killer spots them leaving. Opting to tail them, he notices one heading back to his house. Confronted by a massive barking dog, the killer tosses it some food, creating a diversion. With patience, he waits for the right moment, slipping onto the property when the dog is away. Stealthily navigating, he enters the house through the front door. The occupant, showering, is unaware of the killer's presence until an unexpected encounter unfolds. The killer, demonstrating his resilience, rises after being pinned to the ground, intensifying their brawl that wreaks havoc around the house. Amidst the chaos, the killer inflicts numerous blows on the man's face, attempting a chokehold, yet the man breaks free. Their destructive confrontation continues, with the man reaching for a gun but sustaining injuries. Equipping himself with whatever is at hand, the killer hides behind a door. As the injured man approaches the final door, the killer seizes a pistol, wounds him, and delivers the final blow. Fleeing for his life from the pursuing dog, the killer tosses a Molotov to incinerate the house, covering his tracks. The next day, he heads to the airport, boards his flight to New York City, and opts for public transport to rent a car, marking the next chapter of his journey. Staking out of the supposed subcontractor's residence, the killer patiently observes, taking a much-needed rest until nightfall. Identifying a woman matching the taxi driver's description, he discreetly tails her, maintaining a cautious distance. The radio hums as he shadows her, intending to conclude his mission. However, distant sirens halt his pursuit. Resuming the chase, he discovers she has reached the waterfront for an upscale meal. Adopting his internal monologue, he forcibly joins her table, gun in hand. The woman, identifying herself as the expert, inquires about Hodges' demise. The killer, maintaining silence, employing seemingly friendly tactics, the killer sits down to share a meal with his target. The woman attempts various ploys, asserting her innocence in his wife's suffering, blaming the brute who the killer has already dispatched. The psychopathic killer remains stoic, observing his next victim while she delves into discussions of morality and the contradictions in their line of work. Despite her attempts at persuasion, the killer remains unfazed. Taking her outside, he listens as she continues her futile attempts at reverse psychology. Even feigning a broken leg fails to deter the killer, who concludes the conversation with a single gunshot to her head. Unsatisfied, he resumes his hunt, now targeting a high-profile individual. Staking out of the man's residence, he seizes an opportunity in the car park, facing a door handle that won't yield, prompting the killer to search for a fob. While browsing Amazon for a copier, the killer identifies his target seated in a car at night. Connecting with an arms dealer, he acquires an arsenal that fulfills the darkest desires. With the Amazon delivery in hand, the killer infiltrates the gym where his target frequents. Utilizing a janitor's card, he gains access to the changing rooms, observing the target heading for a workout. Exploiting the janitor's card again, the killer opens the target's locker, discreetly copying a card from the wallet inside, using a device he purchased earlier. After replicating the card, he returns it to the wallet, patiently awaiting the building car park gate to open. He uses the forged card to access the elevator and ascends to the 27th floor. Boldly entering the billionaire's residence, the killer startles Claiborne, who, unaware of the killer's identity, resorts to offering money. However, the encounter takes a dark turn. Facing the barrel of the gun, Claiborne nearly pleads until the killer questions any underlying issues between them. Initially bewildered, Claiborne quickly grasps the situation upon seeing the card presented by the killer. He clarifies that post the missed shot, Hejez recommended insurance, calling for the killer's removal. Using his billionaire's eloquence, Claiborne sincerely assures the killer that he harbors no grievances. Having issued a grim warning of a lingering and agonizing reprisal if required, the perpetrator exits both the room and the street. Arriving at his ultimate destination, he travels to the Dominican Republic, where he and his now recovered wife share a tranquil moment over tea. This signifies the culmination of the events.